Welcome to the Bigger, Braver Life show, where leaders and high performers learn to rewire their minds, regulate their nervous systems, and rise into their next evolution. I'm Angela Williams, therapist, leadership coach, and your guide to living, leading, and creating from deep alignment. Because your bigger, braver life isn't about doing more, it's about becoming more of who you really are. Hey everyone, welcome back to season 3 of the Bigger Braver Life Show. This is all about the intersection of leadership, mental health, and that personal optimization. These are my favorite things to talk about. If you're new to me, I'm a licensed clinical social worker and a leadership mindset coach, and we are really here speaking about the optimization of how we live our life, especially as leaders. So I'm really excited because we're talking about leadership more so this season, and leadership, it isn't just about numbers, it isn't about revenue, it's not just about bottom line, it's about people, it's about presence, it's about that nervous system health of the leader. And for me, I personally believe that workplaces should be having a little bit of that good stress and not dramatic and not chaotic. We want a safe and sound environment to come to so that we can do our best. We do want to be a little bit activated to go after our goals, but we can leave all the drama for entertainment. So that is where I really take a hard stance and say that that leadership culture, that dynamic, all of that stems from you. And leadership is personal before it's professional. That's internal work that needs to be done. A lot of times, what I see is there is a problem on the team, there's complaints, there's struggle. And so the leadership might feel too busy to really kind of get in there, dig in. Or, maybe they're too stressed out to care right now. They're maxed out. And so they might hire someone to come in and do some team building or some burnout prevention, etc. And I get it. But the issue really isn't just about supporting the team with that thing, it's about going to the root. As a leader, you set the tone for your team, for productivity. You set the tone for the culture, the values, the mission, vision, all of it. And so it starts with you. Your capacity sets the ceiling for your team, for your business. And mental health isn't just a side note. This is the foundation of sustainable success. And that's what we're all looking for, especially as we feel kind of now in these current times of recording where maybe our resources are stretched. We're being asked to do more now than ever. We're asked to do 2 jobs in one. We're asked to take on, more team members, more personnel than before. We're asked to be triple booked. How is that even going to happen, right? So we really need to champion and position our mental health as the catalyst to help you stay balanced through all of it. And that's what we're going to really address through this season. When we talk about mental health being the biggest piece, we see examples of how people have let that slide and how the consequences are not what they want them to be. So there was a leader, Antonio Horta Osorio, who he was a former CEO of Lloyd's Bank. He's been candid. He's been really honest about how leading that heavy turnaround nearly shattered his well-being. And so now he speaks out about it. He's taken action. He's championed workplace mental health. He's launched more of the mental health first aid training, resilience programs for leaders. This is the direction that we need to be going in. And I'm glad to see that that leader has taken that action, but let's not wait until your well-being is in question. You're experiencing, poor mental health, you're in the hospital, physical health, right? It's all connected, your thoughts, your emotions, your body, all of that. So we really have to take that time to connect it all. And, my approach to all of this in practice is definitely taking a holistic route. And so my first company that I built was focused mostly on mental health, but the approach is still holistic and supportive. So we're looking at all different areas of health, whether that is, Chinese medicine, acupuncture, nutrition, psychiatry care, right? All of those things need to be in place for you to be that whole helpful being. So we look at things through a lens of different modalities, really. So that's what I want you to kind of think about as we move through this next season. I'm really excited to bring on more guests. They're going to talk about just these spaces where we are in our lives. Because again, we're not just the CEO, the CFO, the COO, the manager, the whoever, right? We're parents, we're friends, we're taking care of our parents. We have to plan for things like maternity leave. We have to make sure our money mindset is solid, especially as we own a business. And so all of these things are going to be addressed and more. I'm very pumped for our guests this season. If you've listened to the show before, you know we have phenomenal guests. We've been blessed with that. And if you haven't listened, please go back, listen to, or view on YouTube some of those previous episodes. I want to share a little bit more about the real state of what's going on and what has inspired me to talk more about the leadership piece. And, as a therapist, I can't tell you how many times I have clients sit in and talk to me about how terrible their management is or their leadership is, or how that person in leadership has not had any training, is kind of almost like acting out their own personal dramas in the workplace or putting it on this person. And so they feel attacked, they feel burnout, they feel overwhelmed. We're in therapy talking about it, right? So I see it from that lens. I also coach and give therapy to executives and business owners. And, we talk about the pressures, we talk about the identity shifts that need to happen. A lot of times we need to let go of things that are, pushing us in a way that is not healthy. We need to let go of the way we used to do things, old beliefs, right? All of those can get us caught up in that way of, maybe we don't want to spend more money on something, take a risk on something because we are scared, right? We don't want to hire people. We don't want to give away parts of our responsibilities because we can't trust people because of past issues, right? So we've got to really work through a lot to be able to be that optimized version of ourselves as a leader, as a manager, as whatever role this is. So I'm really excited to be talking about that. And just some research points. I love to bring in research. Deloitte often does studies this was back in 2022, but 70% of the executives at that point consider leaving jobs for well-being reasons. We saw that example just before. And then the World Health Organization talks about how anxiety and depression are costing $1 trillion in productivity annually. That number is shocking to me, and I'm in the field, right? So think about what that is doing in your workplace. Think about how that's impacting you. And especially as a leader, you want to do things that are going to move the needle with productivity, with the bottom line, right? But we can only do that when we have a sound, healthy team. And that's the goal. And that's led by a sound and healthy leader. So my first thing is wanting to, ask you a question to reflect on, and that is, who is your internal board of advisors? So again, whether that's, a therapist, a leadership coach, sometimes work provides them, but you can also seek your own support if you're looking for more of that confidentiality, right? What trainings, what books are you reading? What self-reflection are you doing? How are you keeping up with your physical health? How are you keeping up with your spiritual health? And your financial health, right? All of these things need time and attention to be fully optimized. I also want you to ask yourself, what's your current energetic capacity? What does mental clarity look like for you? Does it feel like you're in the day-to-day too much where you can't sit and do some visioning, where you feel like you can't zoom out because you're just constantly putting out fires or going to the next thing, doing the next thing? I've worked in environments like that before. I've worked in crisis before. It's hard to zoom out and see the bigger picture and plan for the future when you are in it day to day, moving from thing to thing. So we also have to think about ways and systems, whether that's internal and external, to separate yourself from that as the leader. I also want you to check in with your emotional state. What does that look like day to day? So I want you to ask yourself, what's one adjustment you can make this week to feel more resourced? Again, a lot of that, sometimes we fight it. We think we can do it all of ourselves, but we do need to hire and support, hiring the experts. Let them help you lead best. And so here's what I want you to do. I want you to reflect, take some time for yourself. I want you to listen to the rest of these episodes. They're so packed full of wisdom, and just bring it all in. How can you bring this in? How can you share with your team? How can you share with your family? Some of us are leaders in the community. Some people are not getting paid for the work that they're doing, but they're in advisory roles, right? That's all leadership. So think about where you are the leader and how can you help yourself to help everyone else, because that does trickle down. And then how can you gain more knowledge, right? As leaders, we really want to be looking at some sort of self-development on the regular. So how can we work that in? And also in the show notes, I'm going to put a few links. I've built a lot of resources for leaders and entrepreneurs over the years, all the way from meditations to my latest thing, which is the Leadership Stress Reset resource. So that's going to bring you through some questions, some resources for you. But it's really to help you check in, recalibrate, and move forward. Sometimes we have to slow down before we speed back up, or get in alignment, really is the thing. Additionally, if you are hearing this and you're like, yes, this resonates, this is for me, I always hold the space to speak with you. So if you want a free consultation about what leadership and mindset coaching can look like for you, that's great. If you're looking for more of that mental health support, you've got stuff from the past, right? Like, let's have a conversation about what's best for you. I can refer you to wherever it makes sense. But really, it is about putting your health in the forefront and getting all of your stuff together to help then reflect that down to your team. All right. Can't wait to see you in the next episode. Talk soon.
You're not here for surface level success. You're here to expand. Visit angelamaria.co, where you'll find retreats, private coaching, and resources to expand your capacity and lead with calm, clarity, and authority. If this conversation moved you, make sure to share it with a leader who's ready for more.